Hey everybody, this is Renee from The Space Between, and you are listening to The Space Between podcast, the show that lets you listen to how the fans feel about the music, the art behind over 30 years of the Dave Matthews Band. Stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Space Between podcast, the podcast where we talk about the fans of the Dave Matthews Band. So every Friday, a new episode comes out, and that means every Friday, a fan has come to talk about their journey with the Dave Matthews Band and what that looks like. So today is like every Friday. I have Miss Marybeth here. And so Marybeth, tell us how you're doing. Where are you? How in the world did you find the Dave Matthews Band?
Mm-hmm. I am excellent. I'm in the Cincinnati area in Northern Kentucky. Born and raised Virginia girl, though. So yes. I found the boys very, very young. Actually, it was 94, wow. The spring of 94. We were at a festival with my parents, and Dave's rocking out in some pajama pants. And,
how cool are your parents? You literally went to a music festival with your parents and found Dave.
We went. They were not there for the music. My mother, love her, specifically said, "This is terrible." And I'm sitting there going, I love this. and she didn't know the monster that she created all those years ago.
But she's going to get credit. So Mama, thank you.
She took us to all that stuff. So it's definitely a little bit on her, but, she had no idea that he would still be with me all these years later.
Wow. So what do you think it was that hooked you? Like, was it that they sounded different, or like, what was it?
It was. They were different, and it was like you couldn't help but watch him because he's so animated just in what he does. And I'm, I think I was 11, and I'm just like, well, I love this. Right. I do. I didn't want to leave, and I still that way.
Yeah.
42.
Yeah, we stay till the very end till they start breaking down the set. Literally, do we believe? Okay, I think it might be over now. There's no chance of them coming back out. Oh God. I mean, I'm guilty, right? A lot of us are like, I don't believe it's over. No way.
It's not done yet. No, he's coming back.
For sure. So tell us what your journeys look like. So you found them when you were 11, thanks to your mom and your dad. And so what did that lead to? Like, what was your next time that you got to see them live, or did you just spend some time kind of digging into their music?
Started getting in, bought Under the Table and Dreaming, and, started getting stuff, that people were sharing, and, I felt like I shouldn't have been getting things like that, but it was
like a secret club.
Yes. But, just started getting CDs and, cassettes if I had to, and whatever I had to, because I just wanted to hear it.
Yeah.
And, then I saw him again, probably a couple years later. So 13, 14, and we've been on a roll ever since.
It's like putting fuel on a fire. Each time you see them, you're like, ooh, it's brighter and bolder, and I love it.
It is. And that's what I love telling people. They're like, and I know a lot of us probably get this, they're like, you're seeing them again?
Yeah.
I'm like, it is different every time. He could play the same set, but it's going to be different.
Right.
Right. And and I actually went to different shows this past summer. These fellas have us spoiled.
Yeah, they do.
Because we're surprised every show, and every other show I went to, you could look at the set list from the night before.
Yep.
And it was the same. And I couldn't enjoy it. I mean, it was a good time, whatever, but
of course.
It's not the same. For sure.
So tell me, let's continue the journey. So you saw another show, and then what happens?
And, growing up in Virginia, I had the opportunity to see them, a little more just because they played up and down the state, Central Virginia, whatnot. That motherland, Charlottesville, where we ventured to quite a few times. But, I grew up with the band, grew up as music came out. there wasn't anything that I didn't love. And just any shows that I could get to, working at the grocery store, saving up the little pennies to buy concert tickets, but it was worth it. And and it ended up paying off as I was a junior in high school. I got to work for a local radio station. It was a country station, and I got to request. I was like, you gotta work me in somewhere for this show. And I got to be backstage at the Virginia Beach Amphitheater, got to hang, just rule, it was so exciting.
So you got picked to go backstage at a Dave Matthews Band concert and just kind of hang,
I was technically working.
I would be like, yes, I'll mop the floors back there. Like, tell me what to do.
Yes. Yeah, and it was so great. Besides having my son, that's definitely my shining moment of, it was Roy was still alive. Wow. It was
and that again was just like dumping more gasoline on your already lit fire to be there. You had a bonfire going by then. You were like, okay.
It sure was.
So as you've gotten older and had children and how have you worked in the band? Because obviously it gets complicated, right? Like we want to be these diehard fans and go to all these shows, but obviously music is not our money maker, right? Like we're giving money to go to these places, so we have to kind of concentrate on there's this, and then there's Dave Matthews Band. No matter how it sounds, like we really are. So, how have you been able to continue to fit Dave in your life with all the busyness of life?
Well, I was a one and done mom, so I've got I had the most perfect child. He's been wonderful forever. He listened to Dave in the womb. I swear that's what did it. But I'd put the headphones on my belly, and that's what he would listen to. But he was small, working mom. Going. I did college after I had him, that kind of thing. But I would go to work, and he would go to school, and on the weekends when his dad had him, we would correlate to make sure I could get to shows and. But it was, it all worked out really, really well because
of course.
My ex-husband, he knew the love, and he was willing to help out. I would be like, hey, there's a show, blah, blah, blah. I did keep it Riverbend, kind of became my second home venue, and but any shows that I could get to around me, it was my crew worked together to make it happen.
So now, did you say that you grew up in the Virginia area for a time of your life?
Yes.
When was that? How old were you?
Virginia Beach. I moved to the Cincinnati area when I was 20.
So a big portion of your life was spent in Virginia. So with us, of course, a lot of us being able to travel to Charlottesville in November of this year to catch the end of the fall show, I experienced meeting, of course, a lot of locals there, just being in different businesses and restaurants and people knowing clearly what we're there for. I mean, if we don't have a shirt on, we're talking about it. You know how it goes. And so there was a lady that turned around and made it known, like, I've never seen this band, but I know about them because they've impacted our city. They've helped at our city. Dave and the boys have just really kind of covered this city with love, right? And so was that your impression as growing up with them? Is that what you heard about the band?
Oh, yeah, it was always, I think that was another draw for me too, because they were so respectful of people, the earth, that kind of thing. It was a cool, they weren't trashing everything. And, but yeah, and then, obviously being more local, you did hear stories about different things that they did and, community events and, that was, some of these things were before I could drive, and all I wanted to do was get there.
Right.
Like, take me. I can't drive yet. But I always wanted
so happy that we didn't.
Thank God we didn't have the internet back then. Because I would have been rogue. I would have been like probably hitchhiking.
It is.
But yeah, I mean, it was just everything, I never heard anything bad about them. And then if you ever did hear anything bad, it was because it was probably college kids that were around the UVA area, and they were like, we just hear them all the time. And
like, for you, yeah.
So wonderful.
Exactly.
Like, exactly. You. But yeah, there was just a draw to them, like the music, just their way, the way that they present themselves, and the way that they treat, fans and just people in general. It was a draw for sure.
Even after almost 33 years, they continue to just blow me away with not only their, of course, ability to put out great music and continue to change, but also their awareness of things that are going on in the world in general, whether it's about pollution or just, war in general. They tend to be very vocal about violence. And so, I definitely will segue this into, now you say you live in Kentucky now, right?
Northern Kentucky, right outside of Cincinnati.
Okay. So I have a dream, and maybe this has already happened, so you'll have to tell me, but like one of the places my husband and I have always wanted to visit is Kentucky. Of course, that doesn't come by any surprise that he is a bourbon fan. And of course, Kentucky's known for some of the best whiskey and bourbon in the world. And so it would just be like so great if Dave would just like set up like 2 stops in Kentucky and you go down the bourbon trail to get to Dave Matthews.
What? Can we put that bug in somebody's ear? It would be amazing. Oh my gosh. The bourbon trail is great anyway, but let me just tell you.
Oh, Dave, anybody in the band, if you listen, let's put that on the radar, because people will come from like the world to not only do the Dave Matthews Band, but like Kentucky in general. Like so many people for bachelor's parties or just, vacations in general go to Kentucky. And I think people often forget about not only is it the bourbon and the whiskey, but it's a beautiful state. It really is.
It is beautiful. It is beautiful. And there's so many different bourbons to try, and most of them are very good.
That is definitely a want. If I could name, and I'm sure I would come up with something great, but like my husband would love that. And I know that there are so many people in general that would, right? Like you're sold, you live there and you're like, yes, let's do it.
Let's go. I will. I cook and I bake. I will give the catering staff a break. I will do it all.
Okay, guys. So let's just make sure that happens sometime before this band is done. So let's talk about that. So obviously, like we're going into almost the band's 33 years. We've got some band members who are old enough to qualify for their Medicare benefits right now. So we know, and I hate to talk about it, but also it's a conversation to be had. What will life look like when we no longer have the live music? Yeah, we always have the recordings and the memories and all of the things, but like what in the world are we going to do when all of this is said and done?
It has been a thought on my mind for quite some time. Just knowing how long I have loved them and I have followed and been at shows, I know we're on the downside of this. And it makes me a little emotional because this is a big part of everything. Every year I build everything around shows and, making sure I can make things. Life is going to be weird. It will be different, and I will have to find something to fill my time because I love to travel. I love having a reason to travel to so many different places, and that's been Dave and the guys. And I mean, we're going to have to figure something out. And I mean, the collection of us across this country in general, we're going to have to figure something out. We're going to have
to. Right. Well, I know you're a nurse. I'm a nurse, and there's a lot of medical professionals in this community in general, but we'll have to create like support groups, like legit grief groups because of this band being like gone.
We think Dave-pression is a thing at the end of a tour.
No. I'm not ready. And not that is something that we're even having to think about right now. Obviously, the boys are alive and well and just wrapping up their second show in South Africa as of today. And so I know that you and I discussed, you got to watch that and rearrange your schedule a little bit because, of course, South Africa time was right in the middle when most of us in the United States were in our work day. And so, was there anything that stuck out to you about the South Africa set list or just in general being there?
Hello, everybody. This is Dave Rich from the Eddie Casino Band out in Las Vegas. We're really excited to get this journey going, celebrating our music, our original music, on all platforms. We just released our first single over Labor Day weekend called Eddie Casino. If you're looking for new music, look out for our next single coming out to Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Apple Music. These guys in the band are really excited to get started playing music for you all. If you like Tom Petty, Zach Brown, Jason Mraz, Dave Matthews Band, Rob Thomas, Jimmy Buffett, Pink Floyd, Stapleton, Bare Naked Ladies, Goose, Billy Strings, Sting and the Police, a ton of influences that we bring to the table. Hope you enjoy our music and look forward to seeing you soon live on stage.
He seemed, all of them seemed very comfortable. Mm-hmm. I feel like you can kind of get their vibe from the stage, like just in just how they sound and whatnot. And I feel it was very similar to Charlottesville. Yeah. He was home. Like it was, I feel like as soon as it came on and he came out and was talking, I'm like, he's in his element. He's where he wants to be. And I mean, obviously on stage, he's in his element. Right. But it's different when you're home. Like, I'm telling you, a Virginia Beach show hits way different than
Of course, we all have that home venue, and it's no different for him. I mean, obviously he's a person with feelings and attachments, and so they all are. And so going to a place of, where you have built memories or maybe even have relationships that are still standing, it is a homecoming. And I always say that, no matter if anyone else in the world loves Rogers, Arkansas, well, when Dave comes to Rogers, Arkansas, like my heart is beating out of my chest. Like it's everything to have your boys here in your community and like doing life where you do life. And so I'm so excited every time it happens. But I'm so thankful that a lot of fans were able to voyage over to South Africa. It's kind of an interesting time to do it because a lot of us do have vacation time that we're needing to use at the end of the year or going to use anyways because we're so close to the holidays. And so I cannot wait to hear every story. Of course, I've heard a couple just with the guests that they've had. And of course, they brought back after we went through the whole tour, which I still cannot believe this, the whole 2023, not ever getting the famous song Every Day. It was not played one time. No, one time, which is unbelievable to me. And now they've gotten it twice in South Africa. I'm so happy. And of course, they had a guest. So if you are listening to this and are kind of unaware, definitely check that out on all the different groups and stuff. So let's talk about groups, Marybeth. Let's talk about the DMB community and like what besides the music has pulled you in, and do you want to give any groups some shout out? Like what kind of feeds your hunger for the Dave Matthews Band throughout the community?
Oh my gosh, DMB Couch Tour, obviously. There are some fine folks there that are willing to risk an arm the whole show. So appreciative. I've not missed a show in so long because of those people.
It's amazing.
It's so great.
Right.
Gosh, I'm in so many. But I know I am doing there was a DMB gift exchange group. Drew Barrett, very nice guy. Super excited about the person I got matched up with. Wow. We had one of the same songs on our favorites list, and we chit-chatted a couple days ago, and it was so great. Fun. She was like, we were meant to be. I was like, yeah, Like, I went this year was my year to do what I wanted to make me happy. It started in Texas. I went all by myself.
Never alone.
I hopped on a plane and went. It didn't matter.
Right.
Like you get there and there's people to hang with, and and people that I still talk to, communicate with, months and months later, right. And I will continue to. And I'll be back in Texas next time. So, but there's never a fear going solo because I know Correct. I'm not going to be there solo.
For sure. And so like if somebody's, again, I love to talk about first time fans or new fans. So if like a new fan is listening to this going, what the hell is she talking about? Like, yeah, you're into the same band, but what are you talking about all these communities? Like, let's talk about what that means for someone that may have no idea what a Dave Matthews Band community is. So can you help me to kind of describe that for our listeners?
We're a family. Like we obviously get it. We love the music. We love the band. But it's just everybody's there to have a good time, listen to great music, and really, meet more people that are kind of like-minded like you, and you like it. How cool is it to have, a huge circle of people that love the same thing, But yeah, I mean, it's very much a family feel to me, like meetups before shows and whatnot. Everybody's hugging each other and, oh, hey, and it's cool when you actually, somebody from Facebook, Instagram, right? When you finally get to see him. I met you on the lawn in Dallas. I was like, I saw you and I was like,
it's that, right? It's that's the hook for so many people. And I think it's very comparable to, people that have a sports team that they're just die hard for, show up at every game, maybe even do some tailgating, and like your whole tailgating crew is decked out in whatever your team is. Well, it is the same vibe for this band. We're doing the exact same thing. We are fanatics. We are fans of this band. And because of that, like we like to talk about it just like you would talk about stats of a team. And did you see this play? And what about this? And blah, blah, blah. We do the same thing and pick it apart. And I love that because I love knowing that there are other people as weird as me that like dig to know. I'm like, oh my God, did you see what he did? He held two saxophones at the same time. How many times has he done that? Let me look that up on the almanac or whatever,
There it is. But that doesn't, like, you go to DMV Hub and look at your stats. And we get that. Others get. A girlfriend of mine wrote me the other night, randomly, how many Dave shows have you been to? I was busy. I went to DMV Hub, went to my personal stats and took a screenshot. She lost her mind. She's like, how did you do that? I was like, it's a whole thing. So then we had to have a whole conversation. She didn't get it.
Well, we get it. And and a lot of people do. And that's how this all works. And the leadership that the fans have taken behind this band to expand the experience across the fan groups and in that creating so many subgroups. Like, there's a Texas page. I'm sure there's a Kentucky page. There is an Arkansas page. Believe it or not, there's a Dave Matthews Band Arkansas page because I started it many years ago. Of course. I don't run it that much anymore. Thanks to Tiffany, who's taken that over. But there's a subgroup for everything. And some of these groups are large, right? And so during tour season and stuff, it gives you a chance to hook up again with all these peoples and find out where the meet and greets are. And so it really is kind of like a roadmap to how to like increase your fan experience. All these groups on Facebook, and then of course Instagram has groups. TikTok, there are Dave Matthews Band fan TikTok. So whatever your favorite social media is, definitely like look into that more and get connected with these fans because they are very inviting. I think it makes you feel included. And I think something that we need right now is inclusion for people. And so this is definitely one of those things that I've seen, no matter the kind of person you are, introverted, extroverted, like there's a place for you in this community if you love this band. Yeah. I love that about this. Because people are genuinely wanting to make a difference. And of course, that doesn't mean that every fan of the Dave Matthews Band is perfect, right? Like there's a lot of assholes. I don't care if you're going to church, right? There's some assholes wherever you are, right? So like this is no different. So, we can't say everybody is like happy, peppy, ready. No, that's even not the world I live in. But for the most part,
but overall, yes, it's a great experience.
It has been for me. It has been for you. It has been for so many people. And that's kind of like the ground that this whole podcast was started on, right? Is we're talking about the fans, and we're not talking about the negative experiences. Yeah, we can talk about that. But overall, I think most people have had a very positive experience being a fan of this band. And so I think that with time, as they go on, there'll be more ways to get connected. So what are some goals for you as we move forward with the band into their 33 years? Are there any places that you like definitely want to hit that you've never been to before?
Yep.
Rogers, Arkansas. Is that what you said?
Let's go. I'm down. I would seriously do it. I do not. I'll go anywhere.
Come on, we had a pool party last year. It was this year.
All right.
We came this year. It was amazing. We had so much fun.
Yeah. Anybody that's coming to the Cincinnati area or Virginia Beach,
yes,
let's go. I will host. We will have a great time. My mother doesn't know, she'll host. But
hey, Mom is the reason how this all started, so she can help you host.
You're right. No, but I have to. It has not worked out for me yet.
Oh, yeah.
I have to go to the Gorge. If I have to risk all other shows for a season to get to the Gorge, it's going to happen. I don't feel like I'll be complete with my Dave Matthews Band experience until that happens. And it's wild for me that, I live here, obviously. I'm going to see them in London before I see them. I already planned the trip. I had already booked the flight, and they dropped the European tour, and I was
You are joking me.
No, I'll be at both nights in London.
Oh my God. So you had already like a pre-existing trip, and then boom, you find out your favorite band is going to be there.
Like the next week, they dropped the tour, and I'm sitting at my desk, and I'm like,
what?
Okay. So I immediately text my buddy that's over there that I'm going to see, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to be there for 10 days, so 2 nights? He's like, oh, Lord. He said, so wait. He's like, is that why you're coming here? I said, no,
I mean, is it that the band is following you? Clearly, that's what's happening.
Do you know my boss? We were on a Zoom call later that day, and I was sharing the news. And she goes, so what you're saying is they're following you now?
Yes.
I said, so
it's a 2-person relationship, or like a 2-entity relationship. Like we joked earlier before we were recording that so many people are in a relationship with the band that the band's completely unaware of, right? Like, or even personally, like how many relationships is Dave in like other people's eyes? I have many girlfriends who were like, my name is Mrs. Matthews, I'm going to marry Dave Matthews, and I'm like, baby, probably not going to happen, but like I'll let you have that dream in your head. What isn't it like Dave says at some point in some song, like, don't lose the dreams inside your head? Okay, Dave.
I'm listening.
But like also seriously, he's married and we love his wife and his family, and like no disrespect, but like that's always a joke, like a running joke of I'm in a relationship with Dave Matthews, or as Christmas gets closer, there's the all I want for Christmas is Dave Matthews.
Of course.
I mean, we didn't say we wanted to have sex with him. We just said, hey, I want to be your friend, right? Like, I mean,
let's hang. I mean, let's have too many drinks and hang.
I've always said, like, I'd like to sit around a fire, like low key jogging pants, like chill, like smoke a doobie with Dave, and just like chill and talk about life. Dreams would come true, right? Like in my head.
For sure. How cool would that be? I mean,
cool. So cool.
Done.
I wanted to, even if it happens when he's like 80, I'm down. Sign me up now. Sign me up.
He'll be the coolest grandpa around.
The stories he would have, I mean, because obviously he has many more years until he's 80. And so, you know, that there's music's not, I think that, you know, someone once said that even if the band dissipates as time goes on with, you know, whatever it could be that causes that, they see a lot of them moving forward without the band, right? Obviously, we know that Dave and Tim could go on. Dave could go on. Obviously, each of them have like their bands that they like to play in outside of the Dave Matthews Band. And so all of them are standalone musicians that will not be done just because the Dave Matthews Band is done. And so let's talk just briefly about like the history and like different people that have come in and out of the band. Obviously, you had a chance to see them at such a young age. And like you said, Leroy was still alive when you got to see him for the first time. So as we've seen people, you know, leave the band and come into the band, and even with Tim as he was in and out and now he's a permanent fixture, like what were your thoughts and how do you feel about the, I'm not saying compare, I'm saying how did you feel, and do you feel different now that the band looks very different than the way it started?
What's up, everybody? This is David with the Dave Matthews Tribute Band. We're a nationally touring tribute to DMB, playing shows all over the country and beyond. Our goal is to bring you back to the classic sound that you fell in love with in the 90s and the 2000s, featuring a violin, saxophone, and maybe some keyboards sprinkled in as well. You can find out information about all of our tours and shows by visiting thedmtb.com. You can also check us out on Facebook and Instagram and other socials by searching the Dave Matthews Tribute Band or the DMTB. Hope to see you on the road and enjoy the Space Between podcast.
I have the appreciation for the original, obviously. That was where it began for me. So that holds my heart. But I feel like the evolution of the band and the people that have come and gone, it's left a mark where it needed to. But I feel like where the band is now, they've got it.
Oh my God, yes. His energy, his musical abilities.
He's just, I feel like he brought such almost a cheerfulness to the group. Just, I mean, and it could be that smile, but he's just, I love watching him. But, and then stage left, Jeff and Rashawn, you can't go wrong. They have been wonderful. Just, with Roy gone, they were amazing additions, for sure.
Of course not.
And nobody will ever take his place because nobody has his sound. I love listening to old stuff, and you can just, I could not look at the title or the date. You can tell Roy's playing from others. And that, oh man, it gets me so good. But I can't say anything bad about the evolution of the band. I think how it started, who's come and gone, and where it's at right now, it's been great. Because there's been such great things when different people were there that are not there any longer.
Absolutely.
There's great stuff. There's, you know, it's all played out really well. But yeah, I think them at this point, this day, they're amazing, and they seem like they have so much spark and fire.
They do, and I like how, you know, even though we have seen, I guess, loss and we've seen gain in the band, even now in 2023 with the way the band is currently, they still really nod very often to the past. And some examples of that would be Buddy himself tuning his keyboard to play the sound of the fiddle or the violin, whichever you want to call it.
Yes.
And is that not a nod to the past? We know the fans like it. We're going to give it to you. We like it. That's just not a part of who we are now, but like we respect that time of the band. I mean, they're saying it. They're saying it.
Yeah. And that's amazing for us because obviously we loved that. And you know, seeing it is definitely missed, but it is, I mean, that's totally them not ignoring the past. And, you know, just because there's new people. And that,
I love that. And it's kind of a bold statement, right? Because I do hear a lot of chatter only because, you know, I'm in 27 groups too on Facebook. So my whole Facebook feed is like Dave. Like nothing else is in my feed at this point. Like it used to be, but now that like all this is, it's great. Like honestly, it's like Christmas every day when I go on the internet. I'm like, oh, let's see what's happening, right? But you know, a lot of the things I hear is, you know, we do want that back, and I miss that so intensely. And I totally understand those feelings, and they're valid. But I think how bold of Buddy to know all that, like he has ears, he is not deaf, and then to be like, okay, guys, here you go, here you go, right? Yeah. Like, oof, I love it. It's
I love it too, and I feel like we still get it. You're still getting that in the music, but then when they do bring somebody out that is going to rock that violin, it makes us love it so much more because you haven't had the actual seeing it piece. But yeah, I love it either way because I do. That's what I fell in love with was the old stuff, and that was obviously there. So yeah, it's very nice, and I do love that it's
I love it. You know, I have a lot of friends that say that Dave's a troll and the band likes to fuck with the fans. And so, you know, I would consider that a little bit of a, here we go, like, we hear y'all, but we're going to do what we want. Right. But here you go, right? There's so much fun. There's so much fun to watch, and they really are interactive with their crowd. And again, you know, I think all of the band is very vocal on social media, and so they're not hard to constantly watch if you wanted to, right? Like you could consume some time. I know that you and I both do.
But hey, a shining moment for me also in my life was the day that Stefan followed me on Twitter. I was like, life is made. Look at this.
That is
so
awesome.
Great. It was so great.
I know.
I was like, oh,
it's just the little things, right? No, well, I think I would be too. I mean, yeah, it's like, oh shit, I got to say something important now, right? Like, oh God, now there's pressure. Like I've been asking for this my whole life, and now you want me to say something? Shit. That's so funny. So tell me about like a little bit more about the fans as we close up. Like, for me on a daily basis, I've making connections outside of this podcast even, and even before I started it, I had people that I made a daily contact with, or at least weekly, because I love them. They've become family to me. And, you know, do you have any stories like that of people that really have kind of just got right beside your life and was like, okay, yeah, we love the Dave Matthews Band, but also let's talk about your son. Let's talk about how are you doing in your career? Like, is there anything I can do to invest in your life further? Like, is it a surface level of friendship, or have you found people that really, really want to get to know you?
Oh, there are quite a few people, and I may not, obviously, we're in different parts of the country and whatnot. You don't get to see them, but yeah, and it's our community. It's those people that are reaching out when something has happened. You know, the end of last year was it was rough, and the beginning of the year didn't start as expected. And yeah, a handful of those people who I've literally hung out with for a show or two reached out. Hey, is there anything? And that, more than anything, I think somebody just sending me a song that means something to them that they think might help me. Dave and that band have gotten me through life, through every hardship anything good, anything bad, that's where I go, is to Dave. And that, when people were sending that, and it was people that didn't know each other, so it's not like, anybody got together. It was just random. Hey, here's a song, go listen to it. I think there's something in there, and that meant the world. So, but yeah, probably my closest though, my concert bestie a million years ago. I was like, come on, I'm going to Dave. You want to go? And she was like, yeah, I'll go. This girl did not know the ride she was in for, because that was 15 years ago. And yeah, she's been with me ever since. She went with me to Chicago this year, Noblesville. She experienced Deer Creek for the first time with me.
That's amazing. Now that you guys still work together?
Yeah. We actually just started working together again. She just started back with me. But yeah, I mean, she's known my son since he was 5. He's 23 now. I knew her before kids, one of my lifelong friends forever and always. And Dave is a big part of that. That's guaranteed every year we're going to hit shows together. So
that's so much fun. And, I don't think a lot of people, or I haven't heard that story often, that people meet people at work that become their Dave Matthews, like roadie, if you will. So that's a really cool story, that not only was, they're a Dave buddy, but you could like come back to work and go, do you remember like this? Or, oh my God, you remember that? Or, oh, whatever. Just like to have that. Cause not a lot of us do. We go back home and we're kind of like, okay, I don't have anybody to talk to about this. I'm just going to think about it myself and sit here in the room,
It really is great to have that person to share it with, or, going the next year and being like, remember the last year this happened, blah, blah, blah. Like this year when we were at Deer Creek, we were talking about the year before. I had just gotten back from New Orleans. I had been to Preservation Hall. We're hanging at Deer Creek, enjoying the show, and here comes the Preservation Hall Jazz Band. I'm like, yes! It was so great. So, and it's up stories from the summer, and it's a great time.
Yeah. So let's close in talking about. I know that you're a nurse only because you just told me that, but December is Mental Health Awareness Month, and so I know that that's obviously something that you have learned about and are probably passionate about, because being a nurse, that's our job, is to give advice and be a caring person. So is there any thing that you can offer people as we go through Christmas, as we go through New Year's, and especially going through Valentine's Day? It's like such a hit of all of these major holidays, and a lot of them are about love and your community. What would you say to someone that's really struggling through December? Some things that you can do to, and maybe even you use these things to invest in yourself and to better your mental health.
I honest to goodness, when I'm having a rough day, I hop in the car, throw on Spotify on a mix, and just drive. But definitely within this community alone, and I can, only speaking for our community, reach out. There's a ton of us that will talk, will offer up something. Just don't ever keep it to yourself. There's no reason to keep it within you when you can share it with somebody else. There is somebody that will.
And more than likely, there's someone that can actually help you understand where you're coming from, because I think I can say pretty much any problem that anyone is going through. Obviously, there's probably some things that I am not thinking of that people do go through that. But for the most part, there's always someone that can help you, that can guide you, that says, here, I've been through that same thing and it was awful. Here's some words of advice, things that helped me through it. And I think sometimes just being heard when you're struggling is is a lot of that. And so we definitely have a community of people that would offer their shirts if that's what was needed. And so I think, we do have such a fan base and a community of loving people. And what a wonderful thing to have during the holidays, because like you said, depression is a real thing, whether it's a diagnosis or not. It's something
self-diagnosed, maybe.
I'll do it, but you'll say it's a real thing, and I think others believe in it too. And so, I think it's really important to realize that these are hard months for people, but thankfully we do have a community that is loving and accepting. And again, if you are not involved in the communities of the Dave Matthews Band, definitely check out, you can search for any of that especially on Facebook, because of course Facebook is more group heavy, page heavy. And so you really can kind of crunch down and whatever your likes are. If you like crocheting, if you like Yorkshire Terriers, believe me, there's a group for that, because I'm part of it. Like whatever you want to talk about, you can find a group for, and within those groups are really where you can find some people that understand where you're coming from, like-minded people.
Yes. And I mean, I've seen it happen a few times. People will come into certain groups and they're like, you guys might be the only ones that understand, or I've just had this happen today. And then I love going through the comments and seeing how positive complete strangers can be. And you know what? Maybe that helped that person, and they think nobody's going to look at it, and you might get 100 comments on it that are all something to make you feel a little bit better. So it does not hurt to put it out there.
One of the perks of being a fan of the Dave Matthews Band. Not only do we have the music, of course we do, and we always will, but we have a great group of fans around this band. And of course, that's what this podcast is about. So thank you so much for sharing your story, your journey with the Dave Matthews Band. So guys, if you are listening to this on a podcast app, just know that if you want to watch this, you can watch this and many more episodes on my YouTube channel, which is simply The Space Between Podcasts. And that gives you the ability to see Marybeth, get to see me and all the other guests that are on the show. And so definitely some people are more visual. So check it out on YouTube. And if you're watching it right now on YouTube, be sure to give me a thumbs up and a subscribe and all those things. And I sound like a YouTuber right now, which I hate sounding like, because it sounds like my kids like and subscribe. And I'm like, I hate saying that, but also I really need it, right? Like that's what feeds it. That's what makes it go. And so if you don't mind giving me all of that stuff and sharing this podcast with a friend, and if you would like to share your journey with the Dave Matthews Band and what it's done for you, definitely hit me up on any of the socials, or you can email me at kissonthelipsmeyer@gmail.com. So Marybeth, again, thank you so much for being a guest. We look forward to sharing this story with everyone. So guys, again, every Friday we have a new episode, so be sure to look for the next one. And if you are on social media already, be sure to follow The Space Between Podcasts. It's a group on Facebook, so you will have to dig down and search for that and then become a part of the group. Oh my goodness, all the things you have to do on social media. But then on Instagram, it's just simply The Space Between _POD. And that way you can see episodes that are coming up. We've got some really fun ones that are coming up. I'll say that I did get the founder and creator of the DMB Almanac on the show, and his story is pretty amazing, guys. Like going through, how do you put all the statistics together? Like, how did you get all this data? Guys, it was so interesting. So I can't wait to share that with you in the new year. And of course, we have a few more surprises coming up next year. So guys, stay tuned. Buckle up. The Space Between is just getting started, and I'm so excited to be sharing this story of amazingness, this story of fanatics behind the Dave Matthews Band. So again, Marybeth, thank you so much. And until next Friday, peace, love, and Dave Matthews Band.